Okay, welcome back to the Tracie Trendy Show, my lovelies. Guess who we have in our possession? We have the breakout star of Inmate to Roommate, William Steele. Now, some of you guys may not be following the show. You're missing out, my lovelies. You are missing out because this is what Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup used to be and still striving to be. There's no fakery because a lot of times we're watching these shows. There's a lot of fakery, and it's kind of almost scripted appearing. Even if it's real, it just comes off too scripted. But I'm gonna tell you, lovelies, this show is not. This show takes the cons, puts them in a house of non-cons. And it's almost like a fish out of water. And we got a fish out of water right here, William Steele. He's the breakout star. He's the one that moved in with Seven-Day Adventists. And he's not. He's far from these people, ideology, and quite entertaining, but not fake. Not fake. So, hi, Bill. How are you doing?
Hi, Tracie. You have an incredible show. I've been checking you out the last few days, and feel really comfortable coming on because you treat people respectfully. Thank you.
Oh, you're very kind. You're very kind, Bill. I got a job. I'm juggling a lot, and I'm just like, and we're dealing with different time zones. And I'm glad that you're very accommodating, and your girlfriend too is very accommodating.
That's right. That's
okay,
right.
So let's jog a memory now, lovelies. You got to be on the show. Okay, you got to watch it. It's way better than Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup, but it's produced by the same people now, okay? So you're getting the best of both worlds, and you get a taste of both. If you like those shows, you're going to love, love, love Inmate to Roommate. Now, Bill, you move in with this couple, this married couple. But before that, you guys have been writing for how long have you been writing, this lady?
Sharna and I have been writing for about 5 years. We met through a prison ministry, and I want to just clarify for your viewers. Look, this show is on A&E. Inmate to Roommate was really geared towards watching the transition when somebody gets out of prison. I did 18 years for nonviolent crime, and doesn't have anywhere to go, so they end up moving in with a non-family member, and they're trying to see if that works to hold down recidivism. So this played out where they tracked several people, including me, moving with people that you don't know that well. Now, I'm from New York City. My family, we went through some financial stuff over an inheritance, and I said, you know what, the heck with them. Living well and being successful is the best revenge. So I forgive them, but I need to start my life. So I was writing Sharna, and I didn't want to go back to New York for the time being. And I said, look, I'm getting out soon. It's been 18 years. I've lost everything. My mother passed away. Can I come to Indiana and get back on my feet, maybe 6 months, 3 to 6 months, and I'll move on or whatever. And so that's how it started. And just before I got released, I was a law clerk in prison. I was helping people, that were going through trouble in prison, helping them learn their rights and navigate the system. And so I was always about helping people. So when this opportunity that A&E and Sharp Entertainment presented to have the public understand recidivism, came to light, I said, I'm the perfect candidate. Sure, I'd take part in it.
So how did they contact you? They contacted you, Bill? Because you locked up 18 years. You don't even know about Love After Lockup. They don't even watch it in the prison that you were staying at. So how did you get in touch with Sharp Entertainment?
Well, I was already writing books and stuff, and wanted to, do a true crime podcast and all that. And a friend of mine said, hey, there's I think it was an advertisement or something that they were looking for people that were going to be soon to be released that were also moving in with a non-family member. And so that's how I became aware of it. And so I said, sure, I'll look into it. And, once they heard my story, they decided to put me on. And, kind of humbled to say this, I'm so grateful for my fans. This show has shot up in the country to be about I think it's the fifth most popular show in the country, and the second most popular reality show right now in just 4 weeks. It just came out, Inmate to Roommate, and I'm really staggered by the success of it and the love and outpouring that the fans have shown me. I'm just so grateful for you guys because I've always dreamed about turning my horrible experiences in prison and my life of crime I was a career jewel thief. I was a jewel and art thief. I was very high level, stole millions of dollars. I trafficked in cocaine and guns. And, I just was living this life, ripping and running from New York to Florida to Vegas to California, Mexico, the Bahamas. And I got so caught up, and the days of darkness has caused me to see the light. That's a line from a movie, but I claim that because I just really had a wake up call in prison that my mother was mentally ill, and I've always helped people and helped her and protected her from bullies when I was little. But I went bad because I developed a cocaine problem. Well, I wanted to use those prison experiences and come out and help people, and that's what I'm doing today. And this was the perfect platform, really, in conjunction with what I'm doing anyway.
Okay.
To really,
so you're paying it forward. You're paying it forward. You're contributing to society.
I'm trying.
In the past, it was not necessarily the case.
Right. We're working as crime victim advocates with my girlfriend Mary, and she's also like me. We help people that are wrongfully convicted in prison to try to help them get relief and hook them up with attorneys and resources.
I'll put those down in the links below for my channel.
Okay.
But I want to know. So you've been writing Miss Sharna or Sharnuts for 5 years. What was going on in those letters?
Well, I can't divulge too much. You got to stay tuned and watch the show. A lot of things are still going to come out. However, it was essentially very respectful, decent, platonic. She was always, pitching the Seventh-day Adventist Church to me and sending me things. But hers were very brief for the most part. I was very, very flattering to her because she was consistently writing me. She was very nice. And in prison, you feel like the whole world's turned their back on you, and you kind of feel abandoned in there, especially after what my family did. So I just I was complimentary to her, and I didn't realize until a little later she was in the middle of a really bad marriage. She went through one divorce. She was with another guy. They're going through all kinds of crap, and I think I know now she developed a crush on me that I didn't really know.
Wait. I don't mean to interject, but so first, we only see her with what's his name, Mark.
Mark, yep.
So there was another guy before Mark, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Is this now? I know she has children or child. Is that the father of that child?
I don't know how much I'm allowed to speak about their personal lives and family, like children and stuff. I do know there's children. There's no minors, so I'm not really crossing any lines.
I know because you moved into their daughter's room. Her daughter's room. So
yeah, that's what they told me. That was their daughter's room, and that they left it the way it was. And the rules, sort of. I thought it was a prank. I walk in, and I'm going to give you a little surprise here. So, guess what's hanging on the wall?
You got your poster. I was wondering. I thought you tore that thing up.
These are what we call the 37 commandments.
Okay, my lovelies. If you're not watching the show, these people wrote some insane rules. They invite Bill into the home. He's coming from prison, all right, into their home. And they have a list of things. One of the lists isn't you think you can't use the refrigerator, you can't swear, no porno, okay, whatever. You can't bring over guests, which is fine because you want to keep it kosher. But the refrigerator, the toilet paper, what was it with the toilet paper?
Yeah, right. And then the pink rules and the unicorns on the bed and the pink sheets. So it was pretty much. I said, look, I could take a prank as good as anybody else if this is what this is, because if I'm not allowed to have anybody over, or a woman overnight, even though I have a girlfriend, nobody's coming here anyway. I'm just going to lay down and get some sleep because I'm exhausted from being in prison. I just want to rest, good one night on a good bed. So I'm sorry. Back up to the question about the meat refrigerator.
Oh, yeah, the refrigerator. The meat. Why? Okay, you couldn't. They have a specific diet. They seem to be vegetarians,
right?
And so I can understand them not wanting to cook meat. Maybe not even have meat in the refrigerator, whatever. Right. But should they have not provided you with something? Because they didn't allow you to have ice. They did not allow you to use a refrigerator. I mean, you might as well have been in prison. Can you elaborate more on that?
They kept the ledger on my toilet paper use, but with the meat, they don't eat pork. So before I got out, I knew this. I said, okay, I respect that. Of course, I'm a grown man and I am a Christian. So I'm going to respect basic rules like, hey, come in at a reasonable hour at night if you're going to be out. No noise, no guests. I get all the common sense rules, but when you put up, what we call the 37 commandments, you know, telling me not to watch an R-rated movie when I have a list of movies I'd love to see, that I can't use the refrigerator for any meat, including chicken, steak, anything. And the one or two times that I slipped and did, it was found in the outside trash, and then they lied about what happened to it.
They threw away your food.
Yes, they threw away my food. A friend bought me a bunch of food, and so I got up real early to go deal with the food, and eat some food, and it wasn't there. And I hunted around, and then, I sent them both texts. They gave me conflicting answers about what happened to it, and I found it in the outside trash. And Sharna had the nerve. She's very controlling, very, very, very spiteful. She had the nerve to tell me, if you want to go out there and eat it, most of it's still sealed. Just rinse it off, eat it outside. She told me to take it out of the trash. This is what I was dealing with, and I was on parole. I'm dealing with these people that were just completely over the top with, rude and just condescending, and it's just it's quite the experience.
At least the neighbor next door allowed you to keep the meat.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful. Sharon's on the show, and she literally lived next door, and we got friendly. They introduced me to her, and she knew they didn't eat meat, and the meat situation. Their pastor was going to give me a refrigerator. They said, we'll pray on it if you can have one in your room. I said, well, the pastor's willing if you're willing. He doesn't want to just do it. And so she knew all this, that, I was having trouble eating properly. Now, I gained a lot of weight in prison because COVID struck, and we were in lockdown for over a year. Guys were dying everywhere, so I blew up. I got a lot of atrophy in my muscles, and I gained weight. So I came out overweight. I did want to lose weight, but I wasn't trying to have no protein to where I couldn't build my muscle mass back. Right. And the only thing they had was these veggie burgers that were disgusting, and like I don't know, some kind of horrible lasagna one day with these twigs in it. I was like, what is this, man? I'm from Brooklyn. I want a real freaking lasagna, So I just, they thought maybe in their world, in their cloistered world of Seventh-day Adventists, that's the right way to treat somebody. But when I spoke to their pastor and others in their church, they said, no, you're a guest there. And they told us this was a mission house. They're not allowed to be charging you rent. I said, well, they presented me with a bill for rent. They represented to their church they were going to be charging no rent.
Now, Bill, you coming in their house, you did not know that you had to pay because you're,
No, she specifically told me we were friends. One, that, but the main thing was that she had told her church and other Seventh-day Adventist members and the pastor it was going to be a mission house, meaning no rent going to be charged. Now, I agreed once I started working because I had a few things lined up right from the jump, and I was selling books as well. Mm-hmm. But that I would at least start paying some utilities and my own groceries and stuff. But it was always, no, we're going to buy the groceries. It's our stuff, We like what we like. And, and the refrigerator and the outside freezer was so packed, even if I bought something, there was nowhere to put it if I was allowed to use the refrigerator. Mm-hmm. So I was starving, and I was stranded there with no ride for the first, X amount of probably about a month. And it was just really horrible. I couldn't build my muscles back up. I was so out of shape of being locked down so long with COVID. I couldn't get out of a car without my legs hurting me. So people on the internet, these horrible people that want to say, oh, you're fat, therefore you're lazy. You got out of prison, you're fat. Well, guess what? I think that's called fat shaming these days. I'm not a politically correct guy at all. I'm trying to be better. But you know what? It is what it is. I gained weight because of a situation and some health issues, and then these people wouldn't allow me to eat what I needed to eat to gain the muscle mass back so I could lose the weight safely. Right. They wouldn't even take me to a doctor. They're both in healthcare and wouldn't take me to a doctor. And I said, look, I haven't seen a good doctor in 18 years, please, I need to get a few things checked out. I need to see a dentist. I was just trapped there. And I didn't come to find out she had a crush on me, and she learned about Mary and had a meltdown. And my treatment became abusive, controlled, and then I wouldn't convert to Seventh-day.
Now, Mary is who now? I know who Mary is. Let's let the viewers know who Mary is.
Mary is my brilliant and beautiful girlfriend. She's from sunny California, and she's
So let me go back up. Now, I found it odd, a lot of things with Sharna and Mark, but the first thing that struck out, because this was the first scene, Meredith Church, she drove 10 plus hours, however many hours, to go pick you up. And I'm like, what man allows his wife to go along? Not to say that you're who does that? And what happened when she picked you up? Because where'd you guys stay? That wasn't
bottom line. She didn't know me from anything except for being a prisoner. Although I was never inappropriate with her.
Maybe
she felt safe, and I am safe, but yeah, as a man, I wouldn't, want my woman to do that. It's kind of disrespectful for her to even ask,
right?
Right. But
at least they could have came together,
right? So they made excuses, work schedule, this, that, and the other thing. But if you notice in the first episode, I make a call to the house that I don't see her end of it, her talking to me, until I'm out of prison. I see the episode along with everybody else. She says, "What do you want to do?" And I pick you up in the morning. And I said, "I haven't thought that far ahead." And I said, "How about I'm going to Disney World?" So then I said, "You know what?" Everybody asked me what I want to do. I said, "I tell you what, let's take off to Miami for 3 days." Because I used to live in South Florida. I want to enjoy the beach and the sunshine. I just was saying that off the cuff. And man, her face lit up like a Christmas tree, like she was wishing to go. Her husband about exploded and came over the phone and said, "Bill, that's not going to happen." Like he's a tough guy or something. And I'm like, yeah, okay. If I told her that's what I wanted to do, I guarantee you that's what she would have did. But
I think so too. Because she looked a little salty when Mary's name came up. A little salty. But back off of that, I want to go back to those little night visits that she was making to your room.
Well, she would come around with, what to me, having been in prison a long time, you only see, if you see women, a lot of them are in these uniform pants and whatever. They're not allowed to wear tight clothes and all this stuff.
Right.
This is form-fitting. And I didn't know till recently the difference between a legging, a jegging, a yoga pants, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what it was. But it was these tight, form-fitting things, and she would never dress like that when Mark's in the house that I've ever noticed. And literally, he'd go to work 10 o'clock at night. I'd usually be on the phone with Mary from the Midwest right here at Elkhart. See the
yeah, we see your virtual background. Okay,
yeah. So, I did a little props for the show at A&E in my show. But so Steve would come to the door and literally dress like that. Other times, there'd be just a shirt on, like a pullover or a man's button-up. And I don't know if she had panties or nothing on underneath. And she'd talk about, "Hey, Bill, can we talk? I'd like to talk."
Wait, come back up. We got to visualize this now. She's wearing a long shirt, and there's no pants that you can see.
You know how a woman dresses around her man, just
they wear the men's shirt. Mm-hmm.
Right. I've never seen her like that when Mark was home. And it was just completely inappropriate. And she was trying to break Mary and I up this whole time.
But what would she say? Okay, she's knocking on your door. What did she say?
She'd literally knock on the door, and it got to the point we started documenting it real well. Excuse me. Mary would be on the phone and say, "Is she really knocking on your door again? Didn't he just go to work?" "Yeah, he just walked out, and she's been doing this almost every night." So it went like that. And so it happened a few times, and I finally confronted her about it. Really nothing changed. We talked. We had a few heart-to-hearts, and she was wanting to get rid of Mark. She was wanting me to break up with Mary and take her off to Hawaii somewhere. It's just because she had lived in Hawaii.
Why is she hanging with Mark if she wants to ditch Mark? And I believe it. I believe everything you're saying.
Mark's got his own issues. I'm not here to bash Mark, but he's this stuff's coming. This stuff's all going to be played out. It's coming out because so many people that know him for years are in touch with me and had the same issues with him, and he exhibited all of them, I guess, with her and behind her back, and so they had their own issues. They're miserable in their marriage. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect to lose my friend and have her embarrassed on national television, but she did this to herself. She came up to me.
What does Mark do for a living? Because usually people stick in the marriage because the finances. Why?
Well, she wears
not having sex. They're definitely
she wears the pants and she controls the purse strings, I guess. But they're both in healthcare.
Okay.
So she does better than him, I guess. But I don't pry into all that. And she's very active in her church. They're both elders in her church. She's completely disgraced the Seventh-day Adventists because she lied on national television. I mean, think about this. She literally threw away my book. She admitted it, okay? I wrote a book to help victims of Robert Durst. I'm friends with Kathy Durst's family. This book, Sex and a Serial Killer, My Bizarre Times with Robert Durst, was not a salacious, sexually oriented book. it was telling that back years ago in the 80s and a little bit in the 90s, he would come to my house occasionally. And yes, he would bring a call girl or whatever he was doing and do his thing. And they would, whatever. And so my book is exposing him for what he was back in the day. And my friendship with Susan Berman, who he also murdered. So my book is to help the victims and the family members' victims. It also is a story of how God, I believe, got me through some very dangerous experiences with Robert Durst. Mm-hmm. She's heard me say this 100 times. The book she said on national TV on this show, it was sent to her by me. It was not, because the night the show aired or the next day, she put a fake review up on Amazon, verified purchase. In other words, she purchased it.
So she purchased it.
Yes, but she told everybody on the show, on the couch, if you remember the scene 2 weeks ago, she said, Bill sent me this book and it had so much profanity. As this,
and she said she threw it away.
No, she's right. And she lied and said she bought it. That was really hurtful to me, because if somebody didn't want to read my book, I'm not just going to send it in here, check it out. That would be completely inappropriate to send something to a woman she doesn't want to read, period. So it maybe put me in a really bad light, but we were able to prove by her verified purchase on her review, she bought it. She also told her pastor she admits to buying it. So she then put a review, 1-star review, disparaging the book. I couldn't read it. It's about sex, and it's the dirty words in there, and that's manly talk and all this stuff. And I'm like, it was a book written to help victims, to expose this guy. It's a book about my relationship with God when I didn't even acknowledge him in my life at that period, and how I believe he safely got me through some really dangerous experiences with this guy, because you have to read the book to see what
he murdered a couple of people that I know of. I didn't follow the story,
right.
But it was on the news in California, and he had killed a couple of people. And even the one who could send him to jail, he murdered her. So
I went out to his trial last year. So for people who don't think my heart's in this and doing the right thing, victim advocacy, on my own dime, a few months after prison, flew out to Los Angeles. I went to the Durst trial to attend. We weren't even allowed in the courtroom because of COVID, unless you got on a list in advance, a few days in advance with the clerk. But I went to the door, talked to the bailiff. I talked to guys from Court TV and Law and Crime Network and all that were outside. The attorneys who know me came out and went off on me because I wrote the book. And then, I saw Bobby, who I call him, Robert Durst, sitting there, but I wasn't allowed to go in the courtroom. But on my own dime, I went there to support the victims. So all the people, all the haters that don't know what the hell you're talking about, God bless you, but read the book, read my bio. And my criminal history was 20 years old. And I tell stories. I have Misadventures of a Super Thief. I have a true crime channel on Official William Steele. My stories are told, most of them really, truly are with an eye to help somebody, to try to help victims of crime, wrongfully incarcerated, try to solve unsolved murders, find missing people. So people that make comments like, he brags about his crimes. Well, sometimes I tell a war story here and there to get your attention, but then I also try to add the lesson in it, that there's no value to what I was doing because it's destroyed my life and many other people's lives. And, a lot of people that I love, they're very disappointed because I spent so much time in prison. But it started because I don't drink, but I had a cocaine problem and I started getting in trouble.
And they really need to have a serious war on drugs, and also have not locking them up, but how about some long-term rehab and not criminalizing an addiction problem?
Right.
But back there, I think writing a book from your perspective adds authenticity to it, because we get realism. If it was just somebody who never committed a crime, we will never get that perspective. Why the desire? We can only assume. So don't make any apologies for any of these haters. There are going to be a lot more haters. Best believe. Pay them dust.
Well, guess what? Some of them, and there's not really many, but they always turn out to be like some kind of misguided family member of Sharna's, excuse me.
Oh.
And really, I know so much more than I could say, and we have so much proof. And I'm not trying to humiliate people, but they don't even realize the Pandora's box they're opening by mischaracterizing me. The few that do. And, this is the house right here we filmed. And you see it back there, the yellow one?
Yeah,
you'll see that in the credits all the time. I'm not allowed to say where it is exactly, but we are filming in Elkhart, Indiana. And
that's the real house or a prop house? Because usually they don't.
That's the real house. That's the crazy.
Whoa.
That's the crazy colors they painted it in. Long before I moved in it. Long before they got a part on the show.
Let me see. Was Sharna the only one that you were writing to, or was there? Because I know from watching these shows, there's multiple people that they write to. So was
I was always looking for pen pals because I was hurting over my family, lack of contact and stuff like that. I'll keep it real. Prison's a lonely experience. It is what it is. And so, yeah, a lot of guys write and play games and all that, but I wasn't one of them. There's a lot of guys aren't looking to play games. They're looking for somebody to give a crap about them and say, hey, I believe in you. Is there any way that I can help you within reason? Do you need a book? Do you need somebody to talk to once in a while? So yes, I reached out to other ministries and this and that. And, but no, she wasn't the only one, but she was probably the most consistent over the years. And I guess she thought I was getting a crush on her or something. I don't know.
It appears as if that's the truth, because at least a lot of viewers are thinking that she has a crush on you. Now, how is Mark taking this information? Does he see it? Because the viewers see it. You see it. Barry, who's not even physically there, can sense there's something going on.
And so, of course, for clarity's sake, I'm sure there's, editing, but there's no editing or splicing things out of context. Conversations had, this is a reality show, docuseries, are literally as they occurred. So there might have been 20 other hours of conversation that wasn't needed, but then this is needed or that's needed or that's needed. But it's raw, it's real. And you'll see scenes where I'm getting choked up because I'm like, I can't even believe this is happening. You're trying to make me choose between you, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, perhaps living here, getting kicked on the street, you making lies up to my parole officer, or being with Mary. What kind of freaking spot are you putting me in? That's worse situation than I felt when I was in prison, and then come to find out they made multiple false reports about me to different, authorities and all that. So it was just, we had these agreements that, look, I'm not going to be breaking any laws or getting high. So you don't have to worry about that. If I do that, call the cops. Anything else in the household, please, let's sit down like adults, because I know how parole works. You're not going to want to hear me calling about you, reporting you for pettiness or me for pettiness. And they didn't keep to that. We sat down and agreed at the table the day I moved in or the next morning, and we had that talk, and they didn't keep to any of that. I would, I can't say much more because you'll see some of it play out on the show. And then they had their friend, who's got connections, just for some reason just turned on me, never hearing my side of anything.
Of course, this
me. Right. And so their pastor is a really wonderful guy. I'll give him a shout out. I'm not going to say his name, and he knows who's wrong here. He's been very, very diplomatic in this, and better than diplomatic because he knows they're wrong, and he's told me as much. But people who weren't there, want to say I'm wrong and I was ungrateful or I wasn't paying rent. Well, guess what? It was a no rent deal, but I agreed to start helping with utilities and my own food. And it keeps spiraling out of control.
So they keep adding on the costs, but that costs weren't a part of the deal. Now,
right. And
it doesn't seem the case with the other cons that come out to live with the non-cons. They don't seem to have that contract of paying rent. Do you interact with the other castmates on the show?
No, actually, I think I spoke to Artie one day somehow. I don't know how we were able to talk to her. She's a very nice lady.
You should have been paired up with her. You should have been paired up with Artie. I think.
Shout out to Artie. We love what she said. You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
But you know what? I'm glad you were paired off with Mark and Sharna because it's good TV. It might have been great suffering for you, Bill, but it was great. It's great TV.
It's funny, they say, they wonder why if Sharna, I'm not going to be with Sharna, and they're not approving of Mary, like I'm 50-something years old, I can't make a decision. I prayed for years. God, when I get out, I don't care what else comes into my life. Please, I'm lonely. I would love to find a nice woman who believes in God like I do, is intelligent. Mm-hmm. Mary fits all that and more. And plus, she's drop dead gorgeous. She looks like she's got the smile of Julia Roberts and better looking than Kim Kardashian. My woman's beautiful. So, and she got into UC Berkeley at 15 years old. So she's brilliant. And she has a heart to help people. She's a wonderful person. And for them to tell her that she could come out and live there, and then when she was packed and ready to come, pulled the rug out and canceled it. Now, this is what people don't realize is they change their minds at the last minute, which is why you see me like, well, I think if you keep changing your mind like this and tell them, it's harassment. I was being a little New York sarcastic in that moment, but I was like, Sharna, you've already told her she can calm. You broke her heart, and now I'm going out there and I don't care what you say, I'm going. So
yeah, I saw that scene. I mean, like, she should, if you were such a nuisance, she should be happy that you're getting a break. They're getting a break from you.
Yeah.
But maybe
no, because then they've represented to their church and everybody that they had a new fish on the line. They caught another, potential Seventh-day Adventist, and I warned her. I appreciate the Bible studies. I love the Lord as much as anybody else, but I'm just not going to fall into that strict religious category. I believe in, my belief is to move away from organized religion, and I don't like to be denominational about my faith. So
now, are you the only con that they brought into their home? This is not a learning.
They had a woman there before, and all they did is disparage her when she left. She was this, she was that. I'm not going to say who she is here because all these people online will start. They called that woman every name in the book after she left. And then when I'm living there, filming the show, she shows up one day. Hi, I heard you, and for some reason they didn't want me talking to her, because I would have said, hey, these people are creeps. I don't know why you're back, and they're talking behind your back. But they didn't even want me talking to her when she showed up for a minute.
Wow.
I think to get something or whatever. But yeah, it was really weird. And then they also wanted to bring another guy in. Now he wants to bring nothing but women in. She wants to bring. There was a guy I think he was writing also. And this guy.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, it gets crazy. You got to stay tuned. So the next one they agreed to bring in was a prolific sexual pedophile. Okay. So, well, guess what? The neighbors found out about it somehow. So the neighbors were up in arms, like, you're not bringing a pedophile into this house or filming a TV show with a pedophile. I don't think the network would allow it anyway.
Right.
They have criteria, and you can't have certain types of situations.
Right. We gotta keep it somewhat kosher here. So
if anybody was into something freaky or a little bit, open with them, especially with him, they were willing to have him in there.
Well, you said interesting. Now, Mark wanted women in the house, and she wanted men in the house. Interesting.
Well, she was, supposedly on the surface willing for whoever, but he was more focused on that. And like, we'd be on the road, he's calling, he's not calling. They would call in from jails and prisons. And it was just kind of weird, the conversation. Some of the things I saw, I said, Mark, that doesn't sound exactly like ministry, that conversation,
Oh, well, he having with the. Wow. So that's quite. Go ahead. You have something to say?
No, I just, I don't want to say too much because it's just a mess. I try to keep it positive. They embarrass themselves on national television. They have, especially him. He's got such a history around this town that I have my phone is exploding with people who know him and say, I don't even know how you survived it, because everything you pointed out and more. Here's what happened to me. Here's what he did to his ex. Here's what he did to this woman. Here's what all these stories. And I'm like, I just want to get on my feet. I did 18 years. I'm not.
Yeah, you don't want none of this nonsense.
I don't like drama. I don't like gossip. I don't like drama. I'm literally just trying to help people.
Mm-hmm. Well, what happened to that toilet paper? They were saying you were using a roll a day. Oh. You should have said all that food that you cooking me giving me the runs. That's what you should have told them.
well, the genius Mark said that it was because I eat too much meat. I think Bill goes out of the house and eats meat, and that's what makes him use toilet paper. Well, guess what? I didn't have transportation. I'm in the house all day trying to get my act together, trying to figure out a way to get to church, a way to get to a doctor. I didn't have money, a lot of money. Mary sent me most everything I had. So for them to keep adding stuff saying they got it, so the toilet paper, yeah, because I was home all the time, of course I'm going to use more toilet paper. So maybe before I got there, they were already doing that to each other because they're in separate bedrooms and everything's really divided in that house, and they're just miserable all the time. And so I don't know where that came from, other than maybe I do use more than them because I'm home all the time.
Listen, that paper was individually wrapped. It didn't look like any kind of paper. And I know Scott rolls, or you can get them at like Sam's Club individually wrapped.
You want to know where?
I didn't recognize this. Did they get that from? They lift that off from some facility you were working for? Or
No,
something?
if you notice, I brought it in the house, and my aggravation at that house had me looking for friendships nearby outside of the house and just like talking to people. And this is a whole other side of the story that's coming out. I was literally gravitated to this guy who poses my friend, and he's actually a suspected serial killer, and he's a prolific swindler. And I didn't know any of this. He lives in a big mansion over here. And so I'm talking to this guy, and I'm from New York, and I did time, and I
Right.
worked in the prison law library, so I can identify game pretty good,
Yeah.
But he
You
was
got
living, he was living the life over here, and he got so tired of me complaining about the ledger of toilet paper and the this and the that. He goes, "Go in my freaking garage. There's a big box of it. Bring it over there. Give it to those such and suches." And
Oh
so
wow.
when they were out, you see me filming, putting it around. Look, Mark and Sharna, here I'm replacing it, and I was just frustrated and having fun stacking it up in pyramids. And
Oh
I
wow.
said, look, I believe on always leaving a place better than when you found it. And so that's what I said there. I said, you got all toilet paper you need. So when you get a divorce, you can explain to your next spouses why there's so much toilet paper in the house because you had such a wonderful house guest. I was being a smart ass.
Right. I remember you saying that. When you get your divorce, that was a cute line.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you get your divorce, or maybe you said that one-on-one with the camera. I don't know if you said it to them.
I'm pretty sure I said that on camera and it aired on the show because
yeah, you said it on the show, but I'm saying, did you say it to the camera or were they saying it to them on camera? Like, did you say it like in a confessional?
I was kind of putting the toilet paper up, filming myself. I just learned how to use the camera a little bit.
Oh, so that was for your one-on-one with the camera.
Pretty much.
Oh wow. Well, so in the meantime, you're still, you're still in Eckhart. And are you doing anything to better yourself in the meantime? Do you have some projects that you're doing? Because you're becoming quite popular, Bill.
Well, actually, this is the one she threw out. This is about Robert Durst.
Yeah.
Sex and the Serial Killer, My Bizarre Times. And then I knew Ghislaine Maxwell years ago. So I put out a book about Ghislaine Maxwell, Sensational and Impure. You guys can see my website is on the page or at Amazon. They're both available there. So I write books with a point of view to expose these people from my past who are now infamous and my insider's view of how I knew them and what they, in some cases put me through.
And that's valuable information that you need to share, and you don't apologize to anyone. You did your time, and that does not involve those crimes. It does not.
And we do a lot of crime victim advocacy. We help people that are wrongfully convicted. We're working with Dr. Scholl. You can go to clear Dr. Scholl on Facebook and say hello to him. And he's a dear man who was entrapped, put in prison. They took his medical license, $7 million. We're trying to help him get his medical license back and help him get on his feet. And then freedavereinhardt.com. He's incarcerated in California, and I tell all my fans and all yours, please write Dave. Go to freedavereinhardt.com on the website and look up his address there. And we're trying to help him. His family stole millions of dollars from him, and then somehow ended up entrapping him to send him to prison, to get him quiet. And so we're trying to do what we can to help him. If there's any way to help him get out of prison, because he got 50-something years for nothing. For a police robot attacked him when he was trying to go to the FBI, and he fired at this robot, a police robot, and they gave him 50-something years. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, but it's just a complicated story. But anyway, they drove him to that point, and he was literally trying to just report crimes to the FBI about what was happening with his money and with these this fraud ring that was going around at the time. Mm-hmm. So we do victim advocacy. We help people that are wrongfully incarcerated, not just them, other ones. We're going to have murder victim family members on our show. I'm starting a full-time podcast. Actually, it's pretty much launched today formally. But my true crime channel's up on Official William Steele.
Oh yeah, today is the day, isn't it? Today where your debut, your podcast.
Yep, and we'll maybe delay till tomorrow morning, but yes. But my true crime channel is up on YouTube, Official William Steele, and on Instagram. Please subscribe. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to earn an honest living, but really, it's not profitable trying to help people. It's just the right thing to do. And I started off as that good guy because my mother was mentally ill. And I always protected her from bullies. I always stood up for women and mentally ill children, but I went bad for many years because of a cocaine problem. And so full circle is I've got to use my experiences and my stories to help people now. So I'm getting invited to speak at universities, law students. We have Notre Dame right up here, a college in upstate New York, another one in Florida, and just different organizations want me to come speak to groups and kids and churches. So I'm trying to make the most of that and try to help people.
That's good to know. And more power to you. You keep it going on. I think we might see you in the future.
Yep.
Because I'm telling you, the breakouts, yes. Which one was the most one that you just had to shake your head with? There's quite a few on there, but what's the most like?
It's just it's completely insulting. Like I was attending their church once in a while out of respect, but like I had a tie to their church only. You know, no consorting with criminals or strip clubs and bars. I don't drink. She knows that. She knows I don't drink. And strip clubs were never my thing before I went to prison. So a lot of them were just insulting. Just I don't know. They constantly getting on me about my weight, knowing how I gained this weight.
Right.
I broke my ankle. Plus, we were locked down for a year and a half for COVID, and so everybody gained weight during that period. So they just were constantly ridiculing me and trying to get me to eat these veggie burgers and crap that I don't like.
Right.
So
that stuff has sodium in it too. I guess that everybody runs. I think Sharna or Sharnettes run that household. So I guess it's you eat what she eats. Do you think she pushed that agenda on Mark?
I'm hiding from them now to get this interview done because I can't really say much more. But I'm still trapped dealing with them.
Oh, poor thing.
Yep, and you'll see it play out. It's just
oh my goodness. Oh my God. I don't know how you could do it.
It's unfolding. Stay tuned. It gets. I literally try to maintain my stability.
Hang it. How long? Okay, this is the last question. I guarantee. How long do you have left in that house?
I can't say, but let's say stay tuned.
Okay.
If everything came together the way it should have, I probably could have been out of there, within the first month or so.
Wow.
And everybody lives happily ever after. But no, they couldn't control me to become a Seventh-day Adventist. They couldn't control me to break up with Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I think that was Sharnette's wanted you to get rid of Mary. I don't think Mark had any qualms of you talking to Mary. Sharna.
Well, he was extremely rude to her. Very, very condescending, rude. Some racist comments to her. So yeah, but to me about her and all that, and just really disrespectful.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, we are definitely going to have to stay tuned because I have a lot of questions that need answers to. I know our viewers need to. Lovelies, you better hop on this A&E Inmates and Roommates. You better jump on Bill's website. He has a YouTube channel too. I'm going to put all the links down below. And listen to his podcast. This is a guy who's been around. So he's going to give you that authentic view of what it truly feels like out in these streets. Okay?
Tracie, talk about my podcast. Just 2 days ago, I interviewed a retired ATF agent. This guy was almost 30 years. He's written 50 books. He's been out of ATF, federal law enforcement. Now, picture me with my background. I was a professional jewel and art thief, cocaine trafficker, gun trafficker, and he feels comfortable enough to be a guest on my show because he knows my background. He knows how far I've come. Right. And then counterpoint that with today, I interviewed, and his name is Ignacio Esteban. And so counterpoint that with today's interview, where I'm trying to interview people who've changed their life, had a background in the mob and other things. Now they're making movies. They're doing big things, writing books, but they've changed their life. They've had a change of heart. So today's guest was Anthony Riamonde, and he was an enforcer for the Colombo family. And there's over 300 murders and dead people attributed to what was going on. I just interviewed him a few minutes ago. And so that's going to be going up in a few days. So I'm trying to tell the stories of people who have reformed their lives or had a change of heart and explaining the reasons why and to inspire people that, that the path we took and lost so many years doing wasn't worth it. So, and I appreciate you having me on. You have a fantastic attitude. There's been some people that have been pretty rude and stuff like that, and I wish them all the best, but I try to gravitate towards positivity And I love that you call your fans lovelies.
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
mean,
cool.
everybody needs some love, you know. You should not go a day without it. If somebody's saying love, you know. So
There
there,
you
go
go.
to my channel, you get that.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
called,
appreciate Bill. I appreciate you, okay? Because I was like, you gonna help me through this little system now because I don't use this platform to upload my videos. Bill called me and I was like, what are you calling? You know, who are you? I like because I got a real job, okay, people. I got multiple streams. I'm living in California. So I was like, and I know a lot of bills on top of that. And I was like, what? It's now? And that's how my day was. But he was very accommodating. And Bill's out here, he's hustling in a good way. Okay. He's out here pushing his message, pushing his products, which he should do all legal work. So he's on the good foot now. So that's a good thing, Bill. And everybody, you know what you can do? Drop a line below. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. Hit that notification bell and follow those links to Bill's page, my lovelies. Show him some love and say you came for Tracie Trendy Show to give it to him. All right, my lovelies. I will check you all out on the flip side. Bye for now.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tracie. Good night.
Good night. Is